Hey Osu gamers! So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, something that I haven't done before, and that is a keyboard review and comparison of not only the keyboard that I use for Osu, but also of the Akko 3068 World Tour Tokyo Edition keyboard. Now the reason why is because Banggood reached out to me, they offered to send me this keyboard and review it, and I thought it would be perfect timing because I've been asked a few times to review my keyboard, the Ducky Maya Pro Sakura themed keyboard. And seeing as both of these keyboards are Sakura themed, I thought this would be a good time to, instead of just reviewing each of them, compare the two and see which is the best Sakura themed keyboard for Osu, in my opinion. We're going to compare both of the keyboards, starting with the Ducky and going into the Akko, and I'm going to talk a lot about the build quality and the individual bits of each keyboard. But before going into that, I want to briefly mention the switches. So obviously the switches that you get on your mechanical keyboard will depend on what switches you like. On my Ducky, I have Cherry MX Browns, just because I prefer those for Osu. They have that light actuation force of like Cherry Reds, while also having a little tactile bump. Now on the Akko keyboard, I have these Huano Pink switches. Huano switches aren't a brand I had ever heard of before seeing them on these pre-built Akko keyboards, and I couldn't find any information about them anywhere online. They seem to be a new Chinese switch manufacturer on the market that makes these Cherry MX style mechanical switches, as do a lot of other switch brands. Kind of depends on your experience with them. So I'm not going to be mentioning too much about the switches throughout this because that is so down to preference. But I thought getting these Huano Pink switches on the Akko keyboard is a little bit fitting for the Sakura theme, so they have those. They're very similar to Cherry Reds. The only bit of information I was able to find on the Huano Pink switches was in Project Ace's video review of this keyboard, so if you're interested in that, I will link it down below and include what he said about them right here.
These switches have a linear actuation of 45 grams that activates at 1.5 millimeters when pressed down.
But with that being said, let's get into the speedy, quick comparison. I don't want to drag on too much because I've recorded this more than once, and oh my god, I need to stop. Let's talk about them briefly at the beginning. Let's look at the size comparison. As you can see, the Ducky is a thick boy compared to the Akko. It's just a little bit bigger. It's got the 60-65% keyboard layout, as well as the Akko, where the arrow keys are included in that 60% keyboard design, where the function row, the top row, isn't there, and a few extra keys are included, like the page up, page down, without having the numpad. If you see me looking over here a lot, it's just making sure that both keyboards are in the frame of my phone that I'm recording these with. Insane professional setup, by the way. So I'm going to first talk about the Ducky and then get into the Akko. We're going to talk about the keycaps, the build quality, things like the stabilizers, whether they have backlighting or not, things like that, and sound tests as well. So starting with the Ducky keyboard, the one that I have been using for a very long time, here it is. This has 100% PBT keycaps, which is generally the preferred type of plastic to have on keycaps. They're slightly textured, they don't wear down as quickly as ABS plastic keycaps, or they don't feel as slippery as ABS keycaps, which if you've used those, since they come on a lot of pre-built gaming keyboards, you probably know what I mean by them feeling slippery. They shine a lot, whereas PBT keycaps do not have that shine after prolonged use. And personally, using both of them even on the same keyboard, the experience even for something like Osu is vastly improved. It's a lot better using PBT keycaps than ABS. General build quality also very good. There's no creaking or really any movement when trying to move the keyboard and like push into it. It's got a nice weight to it, more than I even like really realized when I was going into recording this video. I didn't really notice how nice of a build this is. Another part of that is the stabilizers. So the stabilizers are these. They are under keys like backspace, enter, shift, spacebar, any longer keys that need stabilizers to support them so that they don't wobble around on top of the switch. The Ducky Maya Pro Sakura has pre-lubed stabilizers that are also quite nice feeling, and that's very surprising because you don't often see that, but oh my god, it really improves the experience of pressing down these keys. Even keys like enter and spacebar, you honestly use a decent amount when playing Osu and just in general. And I'll have a sound test right here of not only those stabilizers and those keys, but also comparing them to the general other keys on the keyboard. Another thing about the Ducky is that it has these legs, so if you want to, you can lay the keyboard flat on the desk, and it is very nice And finally, on the Ducky keyboard, we have that nice pink backlighting to fit the Sakura theme with a few different pre-installed lighting profiles that you can swap between just to keep the nice pink vibe. So there you go, the Ducky Maya Pro Sakura. This is a keyboard that I've used for a very long time. Honestly, I'm surprised after talking about it now with how good it is. It is a really good build quality, and you can tell when you're playing Osu how much something like that actually does help, and at least improve your feedback experience when tapping on the keyboard for hours on end. It has USB-C connection as well, which is always the way to go, at least right now. And here's a sound test for the Ducky keyboard. So that's enough about the Ducky. Let's talk about this, the Akko 3068 Tokyo World Tour Tokyo Edition, one of the two. The keycaps of the Akko keyboard are 85% PBT, not 100% PBT, which is very interesting because you don't often see that. I'm sure it saves on cost, and it's one of the reasons why this keyboard is less expensive than the Ducky, but you can definitely tell that they're not 100% PBT. They feel probably closer to ABS than to PBT keycaps. They feel like a little bit more slippery while still having a slight texture. Going from ABS keycaps and from PBT keycaps, this definitely has a closer feel to ABS, but I'm sure that they will shine a lot less, and for my own use, they haven't shined at all. And they definitely are a lot less slippery than ABS. They're a lot better than ABS, but they're not as good as full true PBT keycaps. Let's talk about the stabilizers on the Akko keyboard a bit. So the stabilizers on the Akko aren't as good overall as on the Ducky, specifically in the spacebar. You can really tell this. I don't know if this is just the way that I got mine, but this happened to me, so I feel like I have to mention it. When tapping the spacebar, it kind of comes up on the right side, as you can see right here. I have to push it back down, and just from like general light tapping on this left side of the spacebar, you can see that it comes up on the right, and I have to push it back in before I can use it anymore. I'll include a sound test right here of those keys on the Akko compared to the general keys. So you can see there's quite a big difference between that and the Ducky one that we looked at before. Another thing to mention is the size of the keycaps on the Akko keyboard. All of the keycaps on the Akko keyboard and on this keycap set are a little bit of a bigger profile than on the Ducky. Here's a comparison of one of the keycaps on the Akko keyboard compared to the Ducky. You can see the Akko is a little bit bigger. Some people will really like that for their typing and Osu experience. For me, it took a little bit of getting used to, just because I'm used to the smaller keycaps, but I do kind of like the way they feel. Even putting them on the Ducky keyboard, I really like the way they feel. They are different though, so if you're switching from a keyboard that doesn't have that bigger sized keycap, it will probably take some getting used to, but you can definitely get used to it pretty quickly. The Akko also does not have backlighting. There's a pink backlight over here, a white light over here, I'm not sure what that is, and for caps lock you have a white light as well. A final thing to mention about the Akko is that it does not have those legs that can come out of the back of the keyboard. It has this inclined design where it is a lot more than like the Ducky one resting flat. It's a lot more of an incline, but it is less of an incline from the Ducky having its feet out, so it's sort of in between. This might be good for a lot of people. You can definitely get used to it very quickly. For me, it's a lot better than just having a keyboard lay flat, but it does not have that option if that's something that you're looking for. And then, of course, the general design. Look at that enter key, look at that spacebar, very nice. Popular keycap set. A little bit of a darker, more vibrant pink on this than the subtle, light pastel pink of the Ducky keyboard. So obviously that comes down to preference for which one you're more interested in. For me, I like the Ducky keyboard a bit more, but I know a lot of people love the design of some of the keys on the Akko. And here's a sound test of the Akko keyboard as well. Here's a bit of gameplay with the Akko keyboard because I've got like no gameplay footage of me using this keyboard anywhere on my channel, so I figured I'd include a little bit of that right here just to show I can play decently with it. So there you go, the Ducky and the Akko, two very similar looking Sakura themed keyboards that are also decently different in price, options on those keyboards, and build quality. The Ducky has a better build quality with the 100% PBT keycaps and just overall better build quality, and the Akko has a little bit worse build quality with some issues with the stabilizers and 85% PBT keycaps. Now the Akko being $80 and the Ducky being $120 US. The Ducky is obviously more expensive, but I do feel like I would recommend it over the Akko keyboard. As far as the best Sakura keyboard for Osu goes, if I want to answer the statement in my title, I'd say it's the Ducky. I'm more used to it. I like it a lot, the build quality and the lube stabilizers. Ugh. I think if you can afford the extra $40 to have the pink backlighting and just the better build quality of the Ducky, you should go with that. But the Akko is not a bad option. Now you could also just get the keycap set of the Akko if you're interested in that. I will include a link to it in the description below along with each of the keyboards. But there you go. If I had to give a rating for each of them out of 10, I'd give the Ducky like an 8 out of 10 for a gaming Sakura themed keyboard for Osu. Very specific. And I'd give the Akko a 6 out of 10, I think. Again, $40 less, so it's obviously up there. Which one is worth it depending on the price? $120 is a decent amount of money, but it's a really good keyboard. $80 is also a decent amount of money, and it's a pretty good board compared to others for the same price, like I said. I want to say huge thanks to Banggood again for sending me the Akko keyboard. I did have a really good time trying it out and doing this comparison. It was really fun to make. As far as Sakura themed keyboards go, I'm going to stick with the Ducky for a little bit longer. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope if you were interested in getting either of these keyboards, this helped in some way. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace out, gamers.